Hello, Wendy Wagner here again with our series on what is the ego and why does it matter. And the entire series can be seen on my YouTube channel, Wendy E. Wagner, from start to finish. And it's really fascinating and one of the most important pieces of information we could possibly have in trying to figure out why ourselves and our world is so screwed up. And this is one of the primary, if not the primary reason, is the ego. So a very intensive study of it is well worth our while, because many of the aspects of the ego are not at all obvious. Certain aspects, judgment, hate, cruelty, all of those aspects are obvious to everyone, but there's certain hidden ones which I want to reveal. But this video is going to be on disidentification, which is really the first remedy that we have in how to deal with the ego. And this one's very important. The ego essentially is a false identity, and the one in which the entire world is built on. In unity consciousness, if you will, or the Garden of Eden consciousness, we have no lack. We are fully aware that all our needs are covered, that we're whole, we're healed, we need nothing, and we're as equals to the great masters in history. Equals. That's what they're all trying to tell us, that you're not different, you're not lowly, you're exactly equal to us, you just don't know how to use your mind properly. Proper use of the mind will get us to mastery. And the primary thing that gets in the way is the ego. My teacher used to say, nothing can hurt you unless you give it the power to do so. Really interesting thing to say. Nothing can hurt you unless you give it the power to do so. Now that is unity consciousness at its best. The ego wants to fragment. It wants to splinter, because in the splintering, we lose power, obviously, and that is exactly what the ego doesn't want, for whatever reason. Do not get powerful. Stay a victim. That's what the ego wants, is us to stay weak and a victim. And it does so with various mental prisons. And these are probably more powerful than actual metal bars to stop us from really experiencing our innate expansiveness. So in this journey at looking at the ego, it can get really depressing if we do not know one thing, which is how important it is to disidentify with the ego, because it is not who we are. Therefore, let's say we have a day where we're noticing that our mind is chock full of judgment. We walk into a store and we notice somebody's mascara looks really stupid, and we're, the mind is just like cluck, 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 just can't stop judging everything it sees. And if we don't know about disidentification, we go, oh, my mind, my ego is going wild today. What am I going to do about it? And we get the downward spiral begins. It's worse and worse and worse, because we feel like it's our fault that our ego is so out of control, when in fact it's not. It is a different identity which is trying to impose itself upon us, and it is not who we are. Therefore, one of the most powerful things we can do to so-called combat the ego, which is not a good word, is to simply turn away. No, that's not who I am. And then you just distract, go to something else, think higher, whatever it takes, not to keep reinforcing those thoughts, and also not to take blame for them. So that is really the primary way of dealing with this, is to steadfastly go, wait, this isn't who I am. These thoughts are foreign. Don Juan, in his famous series that Castaneda wrote, he said, the ego is amazing. He describes the ego beautifully in his last book, absolutely perfectly. And he calls it the foreign installation, which is really interesting. Even he believed it was foreign to us, and it's kind of been a download or an installation of some sort. So who knows really the origins of the ego, and I will get into some of the theories in a later video. But for now, this is all on ego disidentification. Be careful never to say my ego, because it's just like with tiny little mistakes like that, we begin to own the ego, and that is the last thing in the world we want to do. So that's it for today, and I'm looking forward to our next video, and blessings.